Hello there. In this video I'll give you some tips for keeping your car cool on an unbearably hot summer's day. Welcome to a sweltering CarSpyTV. Now, one of the problems on a warm day is that the steering wheel can become unbearably hot, but there are a few things you can do to minimize that. One of them is to wait until your partner's not looking, then steal one of her towels, and you can simply cover the steering wheel up like so to keep the worst of the sun off it. And of course, the gear stick can get uncomfortably hot as well. This one's between the front seats in this car, and if your towel's big enough, you can simply extend it over there. And if your partner has lots of towels, well, you can really go to town. You can cover the seats if you want to, front and rear. Now, if you haven't got a towel and your steering wheel and gear stick have become uncomfortably hot, then you can always cool them down with a little bit of water, if you're careful, of course. Now, what some people do is they get themselves one of these squeezy bottles and they just go to town. They spray water here, there and everywhere. But look, modern cars are full of electronics. There are buttons all over the place, and these things really aren't designed to get splashed. So if you do want to apply water, I would argue there's a better way to do it. And that better way is to simply grab a flannel, get your bottle of water, pour a little in there like so, and then you can just wipe it on in a much more controlled fashion, cooling your steering wheel down and the gear stick, but without spraying everything else. And there's one more thing you can do with the steering wheel to help it keep cool. Typically, of course, when you drive, you hold it something like that towards the top half of the steering wheel, which is the most exposed to the sun. So when you park, simply turn your steering wheel upside down like that, so that the top part that you typically touch is lower down in the car and therefore more shielded. Now, of course, it's totally obvious that you should park your car in the shade if you want to keep it cool, but how much difference does that actually make? Now, as you can see, I have two cars parked together here. The grey one is predominantly in the shade, whereas the little silver one is entirely in the burning sun. Now, as you can see, I have a thermometer here on the dashboard of the grey car that's parked in the shade. And if we have a look, we can see it's indicating about 40 degrees Celsius, 40. Now, for comparison, when I put that exact same thermometer on the dashboard of the little silver car that's parked just a few feet over there in the sun, it measures 60 degrees Celsius. So that's a difference of 20 degrees Celsius just by parking a few feet over here in the shade. And of course, one of the most obvious things you can do to cool your car down is to simply open all the windows to let the hot air out and hopefully let a breeze flow through it. And I would typically do that about 20 minutes before starting a journey, assuming, of course, the car is parked somewhere safe. Best not try it in a crime hotspot. Something else you may like to consider if you want to keep your car cool is to buy one of those silver reflective windscreen covers, or if like me you haven't got one, you can always improvise. I'm using an old dog seat cover. And there's still more you can do. If your car is regularly exposed to extreme heat, it may be worth adding a tint to some of the windows. And what I'm talking about here is a thin, plasticky, darkened film that just goes on the glass and blocks out some of the sun. Now, this is the kind of job you can do at home for very little money, but do bear in mind that here in the UK at least, there are laws that define how much tint you can have on various windows, so just make sure you don't fall foul of any of the rules. Anyway, if you have any more tips for keeping your car cool on a hot day, by all means jot them down in the comment section of this video. They may help other people out. And of course, if you haven't already subscribed to CarSpyTV, you're welcome to do that too. Right, that'll do for now. I'm going to turn on the air conditioning.